Okay, hey everybody. Welcome to my first video of my EVE tutorial series. This is the 101. This is going to cover literally your first few moments that you will probably experience in EVE. The two big things is how do I get in a ship and how do I fly around. How do I get in a ship? It's not that big of a deal, or not that hard I should say, but flying around in space is a lot harder than you may think. People often use autopilot, especially in high sec, and it just takes so much time because when you use autopilot, you warp at 15 kilometers away from the gate, and then you will slow boat yourself in those 15 kilometers. So you're wasting a lot of time while you could just manually warp. It might seem a very simple thing, but there's many people who don't know how, when they're first starting, to just warp to a gate then jump. So I'm going to show you how to select your ship, and I will show you how to do it in your captain's quarters here and also through your menus like if you would if you cannot run the captain's quarters, which it's okay if you can't. It takes up a lot of power. Okay, so here in the captain's quarters, if you're sitting down in your lovely area here and you're sitting on your lovely, what I would hope to be comfortable couch, you'll see your little ship of whatever sort you have here, and then a whole bunch of different options as you go up and down. Okay, I have here my pod, and I would like to note that I am out in null security space, so I'm a little bit more limited in my freedom of flying around and what I can realistically do. So there's a chance I might actually have to dock up at some point and if an enemy comes in. So just know if that happens, that's what's going on. Okay, so first thing you want to do is go right here to ships. That'll open up all the ships that you have. Here are all my ships I have here in this current station. You won't be able to access other ships in other stations. You can only jump into ships that you have at that station. Since this is my main station, I have a lot of ships here. I'm going to go ahead and get into my Coercer class Amarian Destroyer. Just right click that and then make active. What you can also do is, let me do something for you really quick. When you buy a new ship off the market or something, it will often look like this, and that is because it's repackaged, or it is just packaged, which means that it is condensed down so that you can sell it at a smaller size, and just that's the way the game works. So what you have to do to make it usable is right click it and go to assemble ship. It's going to be right here. You click that and it assembles it. It will automatically revert to EE Pluribus's and then whatever type of ship it is. You can change that by right clicking, going to change name, and then you can just go ahead and type in whatever you feel like. I'm not going to be using that ship because I just got that ship and I haven't even flown it yet, so I'm just going to stick with my trusty Coercer because I like them. Okay, these two ships right here, I'm just going to go ahead and explain this now. Actually, all three of these. This is a basic Tech 1 ship. There's no special icon here in the corner, and they're relatively cheap. You can see the estimated value there. That's about right. That's about what you'll pay for just the hull. This is a Tech 2 variant of a Coercer called a Heretic. It is designed for null-sec battles where you can deploy a warp disruption sphere, so anything in that sphere will not be able to warp away. Well, this ship right here is a Tech 3 strategic cruiser. They're really cool. They are definitely designed for the more experienced player. You need to have good skills to fly them effectively, and they're also very expensive. They're probably about 500 million just to get the ship and all the subsystems on it so you can actually use it. But they're a lot of fun. They're very, very customizable. I'm an Amarian pilot, so I have a Legion. It's okay, nothing special. So I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to go ahead and get my I'm already in my ship. Okay, so let's just undock now. To undock normally, actually I'm just going to go walk out and show you the ship in the captain's quarters because some of you might not be able to see it. Okay, from right here you can see your pod, which you've successfully managed to climb out of, and that's why you're walking around. And there is your active ship. If you don't have an active ship and you just have your pod active, there will be no ship there. You'll just see your pod there. Same thing as the other video, or not video, the other room. You have your ship's menu right here, the same exact one that's on the table. So you can do all the same stuff right here while looking at your ship. That's kind of cool, but I kind of like sitting down and all that good stuff. It's fun. To go ahead and undock, you just go right down here to the undock button, and that'll get you out into space. I have to check the local just to see if there's any enemies. Okay, and this is, once it loads, this is what it looks like outside the station. First thing you should probably learn to do, because I'm going to do it right now, is stop. Right there, you just click that once, nothing will flash, nothing special will happen. It'll just say stop ship on the minus sign. You just click that and you'll stop. Another alternate way to do it for hotkeys is pressing control and then tapping space at the same time. That'll stop your ship. It's good in case your ship starts going off in some random direction. That's never very fun. Okay, next thing that's going to be very helpful for a lot of pilots is going to be the just double click in space anywhere you want. Your ship will start to fly in that direction, so you don't have to only warp and align and everything else. So that gives you a little bit more abilities as far as getting somewhere if you want to, and kind of maneuvering yourself around objects if you get caught on it. Okay, normally, let me set destination here. Normally when you set your autopilot for something, you will get this right here. And what you can do is press this button right here and that'll set on your autopilot. If you have multiple systems, like if you want to go 10 systems up or 10 jumps and you just want to walk away and go do something, you can do that. All you have to do is put on autopilot, but do know that it will warp you out at 15 kilometers. I will show you right now. You just click that, autopilot is engaged, and you'll see the ship start to, I think it should start moving unless oh, there it goes. Took a little bit. So it'll start warping off in that direction. It'll go into warp, and it'll warp you. You don't have to actually warp to anything. But when you land, as I'm about to, you'll see it puts you 15 kilometers away from the gate. If you are flying an expensive ship or you have valuables in your ship that you don't want to lose, don't autopilot somewhere. Just man it up and just go. In high security space, you will not normally see NPC pirates, also known as rats, on gates, but out here in nullsec it's very common. So I'm going to have to get out of here pretty soon. Okay, so the next gate. The other way to do it, which is the faster way, is this is the gate, and you'll see that I'm full speed, I'm heading towards the gate, and I'm probably going to get locked by these rats pretty soon. But then I'll just go ahead and automatically jump through. Just double click anywhere in space to stop your autopilot, control space, stop your ship, or you just click the autopilot again and that'll turn it off. The other way to warp things around, and this is by far the more recommended way of getting around in space, is just right click on it and then you'll get a list right here. What you can do is just click jump. That'll automatically start your warp, and once you land and you're in range of that station or in this case a Stargate, it'll automatically jump you, but it won't go you anywhere else. So that's kind of convenient. Another thing is align to. If you do any sort of fleets ever, you're going to hear align to a lot. All that does is it gets your ship up to full speed and head towards that object, if you can warp to it. And that way, if you need to warp away very quickly, you can automatically just enter your warp. Instead of having to wait for your ship to get aligned, then get up to speed, then warp, it'll just automatically go. So that's great, especially if you're in combat or something and you're not going to probably survive all that long. And like if you're just trying out ships and stuff, just align out, And if you get in trouble, just right click and warp. Okay, so as for the right click and warp, you can just right click and you see warp to within 0 and then warp to within a whole bunch of different selections. These will put you out certain kilometer distances away from the gate. Even though it says within 100 kilometers, it'll warp you at 100 kilometers. So, and then same goes for all the rest of this. The warp within 0 is the same as this one. That will do, let's see if it'll activate, there we go. Warp drive active and warp into the next gate. And that'll warp you to the gate, right on top of 0. Instead of 15 kilometers away, you warp directly to it at 0 kilometers. So if you decide to, you can go ahead and jump through. I don't know what's on the other side of this gate. There could be enemies. Let's see. What I like to do is once you get to a gate, no, rats just spawned. Just right click it and you'll see jump. It'll do the same thing as the ones that you will see if you just decide to just click jump instead of the warp to then jump. It'll do the same thing. So let's go ahead and jump before these rats start shooting at me. Okay, let's see what he has to say. Okay, so I'm the only one in the system, so that's kind of cool. Other things you might want to keep up on your overview are the sun. It's in every single system. It's the brightest thing. It's normally pretty, one second. It's normally pretty easy to find. You just look for the light source and the warp to it. It's kind of like an emergency warp out if you're in trouble and you're not aligned to anything. Just find a sun, right click anything near it, and just warp to. Word of advice, be very cautious when warping to planets and moons on planets, because there could be player-owned structures that have guns, and sometimes those guns will engage you and blow you up. So just be careful where you warp to. I'll go ahead and warp to the sun within, let's just do 30. And yes, I'm going to take this time really quick to also explain some very basic mods on your ship. One sec, let me... Okay, on my ship right now, these are all the mods I have. You can click this little option box and you can click the little show passive modules box and unclick that, and that'll hide all the ones that you do not have to activate, which is kind of nice to keep it nice and clear. Right now on this ship, probably the most important thing you can ever put on a ship is this damage control. This is a Tech 2 variant. It's an upgraded one basically, but it'll give it basically the same pretty much stats, so I'll just go ahead and go over this really quick. It takes almost nothing to run. It lasts 30 seconds each cycle, so you can just perma-run this thing, it won't affect you at all. But what it does though is it gives you 15% across the board and your resistances for your armor, and also 12.5% for your shield resistances. Then on top of that, this is the only thing that I know of that will give you hull resistances, which is great, because if you're in a pinch and you lose all your other health, then you have hull resistances to at least give you a little bit more time possibly. It's not wise to hull tank a ship ever, but if you're going to get 60% resistances just for activating something, that's awesome. One thing that's very cool about the damage control is if you have something like this, which is a energized adaptive nanomembrane, which gives me percentage bonuses to just armor, it will not give you a stacking penalty. If you look at this right here, penalty. Using more than one type of this module or similar modules that affect the same attribute on the ship will be penalized. Damage control does not have anything to do with that. The thing is though, you can only have one damage control on a ship. It won't let you put on more than one. But if you're a new player, really just do the training for it. It'll probably take you a few hours, I believe, if anything, but it's worth getting. Okay, that's pretty much my little first tutorial, my 101, all your very basic ideas. I'm going to probably go ahead and plug in little bit of advice for fittings as I go along in this 101 and 102 series. And after that, you will be on your own. Okay, let's go ahead and sum this up. The star is big. Okay, thanks for watching my video, guys. I really hope that this tutorial helps, especially for you new players. I really hope that you older veterans don't need to watch this. If you do, more power to you, but something's probably wrong. So yeah, go ahead. If you guys have any questions about basic movement in space, go ahead and email me. My name is right here. Here's my little profile so you can see it. This is what it'll look like. Yes, I do give bagpipe lessons. You can look at that if you want to, pause the video. But yeah, just go ahead and mail me if you have any questions. So fly safe, guys.